I recently poured dozens upon dozens of hours into replaying Resident Evil 6. Every campaign, every game mode, both solo and cooperatively. All of this with an analytical mind and a discerning eye in order to determine what's good and bad about RE6 with the hopes of providing a comprehensive and detailed breakdown of what a remake of Resident Evil 6 needs to do to be successful. Here's what I have to say about the tone and the gameplay.
Not my lucky day.
Like RE5, one of the biggest problems with RE6 is its focus on action over horror. However, RE6 is even worse in this respect, which really hurts the experience. Probably my biggest gripe in this area is that almost every Juavo has a gun, which means that Chris, Jake, and Ada's campaigns involve a lot of gunfights that force you to either take cover or run around zigzagging so that you avoid getting shot. This makes these campaigns feel more like playing Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Gears of War, etc. than Resident Evil. It's honestly not very fun a lot of the time. I especially hate snipers, which are very annoying, and the fact that getting shot a certain amount of times, or with a sniper, will knock you over, staggering you for a few seconds. Here's an egregious example of this. Additionally, these campaigns feature sequences that are straight out of an action movie or a Call of Duty campaign, like car chases,
Don't bother, we can handle this. I've had enough of this.
daring motorcycle and snowmobile escapes,
Just keep going! Anyway, I don't hate you!
fighting helicopters, and engaging an aircraft carrier using a jet. Now, admittedly, some of these are fun and an exciting spectacle. But some aren't, and all of them feel like you're playing something that is not Resident Evil. They are not scary or suspenseful whatsoever. So they must dial down the action and turn up the horror for the RE6 remake. Removing guns entirely or almost entirely from the Juabo and eliminating some or all of the sequences I mentioned earlier, or at least vastly altering them, would significantly help to achieve this. Additionally, they should work on the atmosphere and mood. They should be dark, scary, and tense. Leon's campaign is a perfect example of what they should aim for. His campaign is by far the scariest and the one that feels the most like Resident Evil. It does such a wonderful job of building up tension in its first chapter, and it features a lot of great moments that are genuinely unnerving. It's an excellent example of what a good Resident Evil should be. The other campaigns should definitely follow suit. It should not be too difficult to achieve this, since they all have the necessary ingredients. Just lean more into the claustrophobia found in Chris's campaign with its many indoor close-quarter encounters in tight spaces, expand the invisible snake's role, and drag out and increase the horror in this section where you have to find the 3 passcodes while being stalked by the most annoying and one of the scariest enemies in the game. For Jake's campaign, put the Ustanak to better use. He's a relentless stalker like Mr. X and the Nemesis, so make him act as such instead of having him be a threat in mostly scripted moments and boss fights. For Ada's campaign, leverage the fact that she has no partner. Well, at least when you're solo. make us feel even more isolated and alone, and make puzzles even more prevalent. This game has the pieces for the perfect survival horror experience. It's just a matter of using them effectively and getting rid of the pieces that don't work. One of the biggest problems with RE6 is the overuse of QuickTime events or QTEs. From freeing yourself from an enemy's grasp, to turning a crank, to exposing a boss's weakness, to holding on for dear life, to flying a helicopter, to using a giant drill against a stubborn pursuer, and even during cutscenes, a lot of things in this game require a QTE to achieve. The game is just dominated by them. Heck, even right from the get-go you are bombarded with them. The prologue begins with a bunch of QTEs in a row. I think that they are used way too much, which bogs down the experience by making it more annoying and cumbersome to play. I especially hate how some QTEs get more difficult on harder difficulties, which is just infuriating. Take this section for example from Jake's campaign. I was playing on professional difficulty and I cannot tell you just how many times I had to retry because I simply could not complete the last QTE fast enough. And even once I was able to do so, by damn near giving my hands nerve damage, the AI would just stand there and allow herself to get skewered, illustrating why the AI still needs improvement. In the end, I was able to get through this section with the help of another player, which circumvents the flawed AI. Though I still had to almost break my hands and my controller to complete the QTEs fast enough. This is not only painful, but it's also not very fun. And this part of the game is just one example, arguably the most infamous. Now yes, on easier difficulties you obviously won't have that much trouble with the QTEs, but there will still be way too many of them. Also, I just love when you are playing with another player who is not very proficient with QTEs, which gets you both killed. Case in point, this section again. The other player initially tried opening the doors, but they were too slow and we died several times before they let me do the QTEs, which finally allowed us to succeed. Even when the game does not throw QTEs at you, there is still a lot of button pressing required to do things like crawling on the ground. So this is definitely a problem, and the solution is simple. Either completely remove QTEs or drastically reduce their use, and do not make them harder on higher difficulties. Like, I can only imagine what they must be like on no hope difficulty. You will probably end up with a cast on both hands. Now, I am sure that this will be fixed, since QuickTime events are not as popular nowadays as they were 12 years ago. Additionally, the original RE4 had plenty of QTEs, most notably during cutscenes, but the remake features almost none, and the few that are present have been dramatically simplified. So I think it's safe to assume that QuickTime events will not be a problem in the RE6 remake. Now yes, I know that not everyone hates them. I have seen a lot of comments saying that they don't mind them one bit. And you know what? It's perfectly fine to feel this way. I myself can agree that QTEs can be fun and satisfying when used appropriately in places that make sense and in moderation without requiring me to injure myself or my controller. So I'm perfectly okay with them making a return, but only by taking into account the changes I suggested.
The BSAA has arrived on the scene. Excuse me, can I get a comment, please? Excuse me. Is this outbreak related to the situation back in the States? Is the PSAA involved there as well?
Recent RE games have given us more freedom to roam and explore the environment. While we still don't have a fully open world Resident Evil, we are getting there. I think that like RE5, RE6 should embrace this with its remake. Resident Evil 6 has even more potential than 5 for getting this kind of treatment, since there are several areas across every campaign that can be opened up so that we can survey them at our leisure. For example, in Leon's campaign, why not make Tall Oaks fully explorable? A living, breathing town going through a zombie apocalypse. This would be so cool. It would give the Outbreak a scope that we have not really seen in the series. Since while we have seen many such scenarios in towns and cities just like this one, it's always been with fences, wrecked vehicles, debris, etc. blocking our path all around, boxing us into a linear path that only shows some of the chaos. It would be beyond amazing to explore an open-ended zombie-infested town with complete freedom. During this section, Leon is all about saving as many people as possible, and he does end up saving and fighting alongside a few. They could give us the option to go out of our way to save as many as we can by looking all over the city. Assisting them would require completing a variety of objectives. Everyone we save then gathers in one place for the last stand, where you have to hold out against waves of enemies. The more people you save, the more people you have to help you fight. And obviously helping them will reward you with resources, weapons, and hidden goodies. In Chris's campaign, you have to rescue hostages. So why not scatter them all over the city and allow you to rescue them in any order you want, taking your time to explore every nook and cranny in the process. Yes, it might admittedly be too much if they give us an excessive amount of freedom, especially in a series not known for it. But I think that it could work, and it would be very fun. Plus, it would fit the theme of this game. It is after all a game about the danger bioterrorism poses to the whole world. It takes the isolated outbreaks from previous games and it unleashes them on a global scale. What better way to really showcase this than letting us roam freely in greatly expanded areas? Like RE5, RE6 did away with the merchant. However, it went even further by completely removing the ability to upgrade weapons and replacing treasures and money with skill points that you can use to buy and equip up to 3 perks as part of the new skill system, which also allows you to level up some of the perks to make them stronger. I think that the skill system is a nice addition that adds another layer of player customization and progression in a fun way that rewards experimentation and gives you the chance to come up with several loadouts custom made for facing certain enemies and playing in a certain way. So I think that it should definitely make a comeback. Though like most of the other good things that should return, it does need a few improvements. Namely, the price of the skills needs to be reduced or they should allow you to find more skill points. And they should add some new skills, preferably more creative ones rather than the bog standard ones like do more damage to X, etc. In my experience, the best skills are way too expensive. It literally took me a campaign and a half to buy the combat medic skill, meaning I had to save up for it. So I spent a long time with only one cheap skill. What's the point of having so many skills and allowing us to have up to 3 at once if some of them are so expensive that I have to grind for hours in order to be able to afford them, which leaves me skillless for a good while? Now, it's not like the skills are necessary to beat the game, even on harder difficulties. I got through Leon's campaign on Veteran and half of Chris's on Professional with only Melee level 1, so they are definitely not essential. They simply make the game more fun and easier if you need the extra help. But again, what's the point of having them in the game if they are so difficult to get? As for adding new skills, I just think that they would provide some nice variety and the opportunity to craft some interesting builds. Now, like I said, skill points and buying/upgrading skills replace treasure/money and buying/upgrading weapons. I think that this is a mistake. I may be biased here, but I really do love buying and upgrading weapons in my Resident Evil games. Just finding them laying around and being unable to improve them is just boring, and it robs you of both the thrill of going out of your way to get more money and the engaging decision making of choosing which weapon to upgrade and what stat to focus on first. So I think that the remake should let you find money and skill points, or one currency that serves both roles, and they should have a merchant be where we use them/it. Because like RE5, RE6 gives you a boring menu to do all your spending and management. A menu cannot replace having a merchant, who does not have to be the same one from RE4 or Village. Now yes, maybe having two currencies or one that serves multiple purposes might give you too much to grind for, and getting to buy and upgrade skills and weapons might be too much to manage. But with 4 campaigns which can share resources via New Game Plus, and if they do expand the game with more open-ended exploration, I am sure that these things will not be too much, and we will have plenty of time to engage with and handle them all.
Should have said a prayer or two while we were still up in the cathedral. Why isn't the dead can ever stay dead?
RE6 is a radical departure from its 2 predecessors when it comes to gameplay. It is still a shooter with a third-person over-the-shoulder perspective, and it shares a lot of things with RE's 4 and 5, like the ability to melee staggered enemies. However, RE6 features a lot more movement options. From being able to full-on book it as fast as you can, to sliding, dive rolling, rolling on the floor, and docking momentarily. Combat in this game is just a lot more stylish and fast-paced, which makes it extremely fun and thrilling. You can easily bolt quickly from one side to the other, leaving only destruction in your wake, while looking and feeling like a complete badass. I really seriously hope that this style of gameplay returns mostly unchanged. They can and should add to it, giving us more options and variety, and they should definitely improve it. It just feels that sometimes I cannot do what I intend to do. Like I want to slide but I roll instead, or I want to hold a shooting position while laying down and I roll over instead. Now this might be on me, but it feels like sometimes the game does not do what I want it to do, which can be annoying. Now yes, I said that I want them to up the horror and tone down the action. Well, this chaotic style of gameplay obviously suits action more than horror. Restrictive movements and controls are part of what makes early Resident Evil games scary. So asking to have all this speed and flair return is at odds with my desire for more horror. But this game is just so fun to play that I cannot, in good judgment, say that its gameplay should be sacrificed to better serve the horror. Instead, they should find a way to make both aspects work. Finally, I love the combat gauge, which allows you to pummel enemies at close range, setting them up for even more up-close and personal pain. This is not only a lot of fun, but it's also a great ammo saver and weapon for when you don't have ammo. I especially love takedowns that use the environment or enemy weapons. Now yes, once the gauge is depleted, you are left winded and out of air, which prevents you from doing more kicking and punching and from sprinting. This state is a little goofy, and it feels awful, but they had to balance free, powerful, effective melee somehow. But maybe they went a little too far. It goes without saying that I want to see the combat gauge and everything it allows you to do return. Just dial back the consequences for depleting it.
How the hell do I get over there? I'd swing off that statue if I got it to the right angle.
Finally, I want to rapid fire through several small gripes I have with the game. If I combine herbs, it's because I want to heal myself, so remove the need for me to equip them after turning them into pills. The inventory in this game is too limited, especially since items have a stack limit and the only thing you can do to manage it is to delete things, since there are no storage boxes and you cannot use your partner's inventory. Either expand the inventory space, make things stack up to a higher amount, or add storage boxes and or the ability to use your partner as one. Speaking of storage boxes, have typewriters which can serve the same purpose, return complete with save rooms and their music, but keep autosaving and the checkpoints. For stealth sections, mostly Ada's campaign, give us the tools needed to play stealthily, such as crouching and make it so that enemies are not almost completely oblivious and deaf, which removes tension. This one is personal preference, but as someone that loves firearms, I always prefer to have them be portrayed accurately in games, both in terms of design/look and the function. The Resident Evil series has had issues with this in the past. RE6 is a notable example, since it includes several completely fictional firearms like the Bear Commander and the several hybrid ones that are an amalgamation of multiple real ones, like the Wing Shooter, the Picador, the Triple Shot, and the Assault Rifle for special tactics. I would love to see the remake's arsenal be more true to life. I am sure that this won't be a problem, since the RE4 Remake did this successfully, even replacing Leon's original Frankenstein handgun with a real-life equivalent. Lastly, no more having the camera focus on a point of interest with no option to switch the perspective. This is very disorienting in some sections of the game, even if I appreciate the callback to fixed camera angles. Resident Evil 6 definitely took a lot of big swings when it came to tone and gameplay. While it missed a lot of them, it also landed many, resulting in an experience that is drastically different from those that came before, for better and worse. Please let me know your thoughts on the tone and gameplay of RE6 in the comments below. Now on screen you will find links to my full video on Resident Evil 6 and everything its remake needs to do to succeed, and to the same video but for RE5. Please check out these videos as well. I will see you over there. Thank you so very much for watching.